Okay, step one is you're going to take your front sloper and the plain sheet of the pattern making paper, whether it's dotted or not. I did it plain so you could see what's going on. Approximately 14 inches by 20 inches long. And you're going to just take this sloper and put a push pin at the apex, which is that center point, bust point. Then put a couple of other push pins wherever is needed to hold it down. And then you're going to trace all around this like that. I'm going to put that one notch in there and just trace all the way around this pattern with your pencil like that. And you're going to need this notch, which is perpendicular to the center front at your apex point. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and just continue to trace around your sloper like this. Once you're done, take your push pins out, and then you're going to cut this out. You're going to cut on the actual lines that you drew, which is the edge of this sloper. I'm just going to continue to just cut it all out like this. Okay, all the way around like that. And also inside of this dart like this. I'm going to continue cutting this out, and I will be right back. Okay, here I am with the front bodice sloper that is ready to be adjusted. I'm going to just tack it down just to keep it from moving so much. Here is the apex we said, right? And remember I had this notch here and I had this here side notch. That is the perpendicular line going through to the apex. So we're going to draw a line from this notch to the apex to the side of this bodice sloper and all the way through those 3 points and draw a line. This will be now where the side dart is going to be. I'm now going to take the tacks off and I'm going to cut on this side to open this side up for the dart like this to the apex, but not quite all the way there. Then I'm going to do it in the middle of those darts right there and let it hang by a little bit. I'm going to tack it down again just because it's curling on me like that. Okay, let me put it higher because it's curling on me. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to close this dart with the opening no more than 1.5 inches. So I'm going to put my tape measure here and I'm going to close this dart so I can get 1.5 inches, and that's what we're going to need for the 2 darts, each one of them 3/4 inch. I'm going to take my dull tape and I'm going to tape that down. And now this opens up this dart right here and it gives a smaller dart here. This dart will then be absorbed into 2 darts in the bodice, and now we have the side dart for that. I have to now use this to make the torso sloper. Okay, next step. What I'm going to do is take the ruler over here and draw a line in one of these, whenever these markings. I'm going to start over here with this marking and just draw a straight line. Then I'm going to put my front bodice sloper that's been adjusted. I'm going to tack it down right there along the center front of this line, the center front of the bodice on the actual straight line. I'm going to put a pin right at the apex because I always want to have that indication. I'm going to tack it down like that. Okay, then we're going to take the skirt sloper and I'm going to put it butt up against the bottom of the bodice right there. And I'm going to have it to the very end, and this is going to be a marking for where this is going to end for the torso sloper. At that point, I'm going to take my ruler from that center front line like this. And then I'm going to measure the bottom of the sloper and see what that measurement is. So that measurement is, and that will vary from whatever your sloper is, 9 7/8. I'm going to draw a marking at that point like that. That's going to be where the hip line is. And I'm going to put another little perpendicular line just above that, where that marking is, like that. Okay, I'm going to trace just all around this sloper of the bodice front, like that. Just going to trace all the way around. I want to use this notch, so I'm going to give myself an indication there. That's the armhole, very important to have. Just trace around the adjusted sloper for the front bodice. Go all the way there and here as well. And then I'm going to lightly trace it down here because this, I don't want this to be confusing to you, because we're going to be changing all of this down here like that. Okay, then I'm going to take this off and move that aside. Here is the apex, just so we have the apex. Very important to know where that is. Okay, at this I'm going to put my ruler and do a perpendicular line from the center front where that bodice meets the center front waist. I'm going to put a perpendicular line all the way across, like this. Okay, that's where we're going to be putting the darts. We have this 1.5 inch space that has to be divided there. Our hip curve, and we're going to adjust it to make our new hip marking. So there's your new hip, there's your bust. Okay, at this point we're going to take this space, which is 1.5 inches, and we're going to divide that into 2 darts. The first dart always starts at the princess seam. That is the princess seam. So wherever this princess seam is, it's around 3 inches usually. I'm going to put an indication, a perpendicular indication, just like that. At that point, I'm going to measure over 3/4 of an inch, because that's going to be the first dart on that waistline. 1.5 inches away from the edge of that dart, that's going to indicate where the second dart is going to be. I'm going to put a perpendicular line at that point, and that will be my second dart. From there, I'm 3/4 of an inch marking here as well. So here are my 2 dart openings that are going to be going up here and down here. All right. We then need to go from the apex. We want this dart cannot be all the way to the apex. That's another subject altogether. Darts never end up at the apex. There always has to be a space between where the dart starts from the apex to give the roundness of the bust the proper fitting. We're going to go 1 inch down from the apex. So I have the apex in the center of that line. I have it perpendicular to the center front, just like that. And I'm going to do a light line. This is where the dart legs are going to end. Then I'm going to take my measuring tape, and half of 3/4 is 3/8 of an inch. You can do that on your tape measure like that, or you can just use your ruler and put 3/8 of an inch little marking. That is the center of the dart. 3/8 of an inch marking here as well. That's the center. From there, I'm going to draw a perpendicular line for the center all the way above to that line, to that drop line, and down below. I'm going to do the same thing to the center of this dart right here. Okay, so these dart points are going to be the new dart points for these waist darts. What we're going to do then is the first one, we'll go ahead and go all the way to that 1 inch drop line, and we're going to go ahead and put the dart legs, which is both sides of that dart. Now here, I want to drop this down another inch, so I don't want it to be so close. So that's 1 more inch down for the second dart. And the second dart is now going to be closed on top point to that side of that dart leg. Now below the waist on the front bodice, we are going to put a marking 4 inches down. I like them no more than 4 inches down, and then 4 inches down here as well. What we're going to do then is that is the new dart point for the hip. I'm going to put then the dart legs from dart legs to dart point. And there we go. And the same thing is happening here. Okay, so these are the new darts for the fitted torso sloper. This is now the side dart as well. This has to be 1 inch away from the apex. So 1 inch away from the apex, I'm going to dot in the center of that space and make my new dart legs. And that is the new dart for the side of this bodice. And there, I'm going to just put the dart legs again. So there we go. This is the dart on the side. Here are your darts, and you have essentially the front torso done. Let's move over to the back now.